We are heading towards the airport right now. There you go, ma'am. Cross the crosswalk, no problem. Heading to the airport right now. I got Amy on the passenger side. I got this doofus in the back. I don't know, you guys haven't seen him in a while. He's got a lot more gray hair. He's actually a little bit uglier. But he's had a good year. That's James. Say hi, James.
Hi, everybody.
There you go. So we're all heading to the airport to fly down to race 3 Point Blue Chip. Actually, I'm a spectator tonight. You know, somebody asked me last week about racing the horses, and I said, listen, I'd much rather, I said this in an email the other day, I'd much rather own the team than play third base. So I'm perfectly fine with my role of chauffeur and cheerleader from the grandstand of the Meadowlands Racetrack tonight. It will be a nice distraction from the chaos that has been going on. Man, oh man. Sale season is over now, but we still have, this is the first year we have an abundance of horses still in Ohio. We're going to keep 20 or 25 horses in Ohio this winter. Now, there's a claiming series ongoing right now. I haven't sent an email out now about claiming a trotter. They have that progressive claiming series, 22, 25, 27. Now, we claimed one out of the lower division last year. That worked out just about as bad as it possibly could. But I don't have to tell everybody that's racing, because it is. Now, they have the 22, as I said, the progressive claiming series. I was trying to get Jim involved in claiming a horse out of it. We'll work on him. We'll get him involved. Yeah. So we're looking probably to claim a horse out of that, and then first of the year they have that claiming series. First time in, man, I don't remember the last time that Mohawk has put on a claiming series. I really don't. It's been over a decade for sure. And they have their claiming series ongoing in January. It's a $40,000 claiming series for trotters, right up our alley. So hopefully we have some luck with the trotters that we have purchased. Two of them are still, one of them is on its way, not on its way, still in New Jersey until next week. I'll talk about that in a minute. So for now, obviously, I always don't want to talk about the horses on race day. Not much about jinxing, but about, if nothing else, ruining the video. Come win, lose, or draw tonight, the horses had a great year. The Matron was a fantastic win. And, you know, the Valley Victory tonight, short field, long field, doesn't matter. You know, the horses had a great year. So there shouldn't be a ton of pressure. There's none on me, probably lots on him going into the race. But that's racing, right? So, what do you think, Jim, about old 3 Point? Come a long way, eh?
Yes, he certainly has.
Don't you?
He's had a great year.
You know, I told everybody, when we were training the horses down, the beauty of this game is, and I tell everybody, and you know this, I don't have to say it, you never know, right? You just never, ever know. And a horse like 3 Point, you know, always had those tendencies. He was a little ignorant. You know, we talk about horses with bad attitudes. He could be a little ignorant once in a while, but he was a baby, and he was a colt. And really, training horses down is about working on their strong points, but working harder on their weak points. And we allowed 3 Point Blue Chip to do his job at his rate, the way he wanted to. And I was talking to Tom Grossman last week. We may have the biggest stable in Canada, but that doesn't mean we don't treat the horses on a case-by-case basis. We do. We don't just have them all ready in June, because we do try to get our horses ready in June. But if they shouldn't be, can't be, or won't be ready, we don't push. We don't push them. And that's exactly where we were with 3 Point Blue Chip last season. We trained them down. I think maybe one of us had him on our top 10 list heading into, I think it was Jimmy, actually. It might have been Jimmy. Mario? Oh, it might have been Mario, you're right. We're the only people that had him on the top 10 list. He had a lot of work to do when we did that list in May or June, or might even have been April. There was a lot of work to be done for that colt, and he did it. He did it. And I guess you could say the breeding came out. I guess you could say he put it all together. Whatever you want to say, he did do it.
Bags, eh?
Yep. They're all just carry-ons. So a feather, quite frankly, a feather in everybody's cap for allowing the colt to progress at his own rate, and a feather in Numbnuts' cap for driving him well when we got him to the races. But there was a lot of people played a major role in that horse getting to be where he is. You know, whether it be Mike Wilder schooling him in the Meadows or us schooling him in Ohio, Amy working on the colt, Jason. Everybody played a role in this colt being who he is, the veterinarians, everybody. And just a real cool experience for all of us. And I think, quite frankly, an experience that propelled a lot of people to push us to buy potentially more horses like him. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again and again and again for everybody. Just because we bought expensive horses doesn't mean we bought good ones. And, you know, we have to put the work into the horses and hope that those pedigrees come out. And when we look at those pedigrees, I know even James has been so busy driving, he probably never noticed the horses that we purchased, who they were by, what they were out of, you know, the jurisdictions that we're involved in. And, you know, I've always tried to do more and do better by the stable year after year after year. And this year is a huge leap forward in pedigree from where we've been in the past. Yes, we had 3 Point Blue Chip. And people, don't forget, Wildewin Hanover has not gone away. She's now jogging and looks like $1 million on the track. Those types of pedigrees, if you continue to buy top flight pedigrees, and if we can buy them for affordable value, it's good for us, for sure. You look at a horse like James saw him jogging on the track the other day, Tactical Tactor, right? I still can't get over that name. We gotta change that name. Tactical Tactor, you know, a good looking horse, you know, carries himself like a good horse. Then you just pull him up on Track It and look at his pedigree. In an incredibly well-bred horse. The only value we were able to find was in the fact that, again, people were discounting first crop sires, which is great for us. We ended up with Walners last year. You couldn't buy a Walner of any size or scope. If it's all its legs were attached, we weren't going to be able to afford a Walner this year. The same hopefully rings true for Tactical Landing next year. And then don't forget, first crop next year is Green Shoe. So maybe we will find value in a number of first crop sires moving forward. But very, very happy with what we accomplished at the sales, what we accomplished on the track. I know there was a number of people that said, you know, well, we really haven't had any good horses before.
Can you stop at the red light?
I think it might have come up last year. Yeah, I think when we left, remember we had that discussion before we left about having quality horses on the big track or on the big stage, and we haven't been to that stage yet. And it's hard for people.
We were fighting about.
Yeah, no, it's exactly.
No, I'll tell you later what we're
No, it's exactly that. So the issue.
Just make you sound like an idiot.
No, because you're an idiot. So the issue is that it's hard for maybe somebody a little younger than I to realize that it takes steps to get to where we want. We keep in mind, here, just lay it all out. You guys know this. There's been a number of you out there that have been with us from day one. Day one. He was one of them. When we started the Stable.ca, I didn't have a ton of money, right? I just got out of politics. Getting back into driving was going to be difficult, right? One, I wasn't that good at it. And two, and most importantly, once you lose those drives, you have so many drivers. And imagine, put yourself in anybody's shoes in 2015, right? We had just got this slots agreement done. Everybody was so hungry. And the drives you lost, you just weren't going to get them back. And I had lost almost all my drives because I had to put them on the back burner as I was campaigning in politics. But what that allowed me to do was to step back and take a real look at the industry and what it represented. Not for a guy that drove his whole life or wanted to be a big driver, but for a guy that was starting a family, trying to figure out his way forward. And when I listened to everybody on the doorsteps of their houses when we were campaigning, and he helped campaign, everybody did. When you listen to the people on the doorsteps, they all said that they loved horse racing, but they'd never been to a track, which was so shocking to all of us. And you guys have heard me talk about this a million times, so I'm not going to bother. But really, what the stable was an idea that if you put horses in an affordable manner under one roof, and then campaigned and trotted those horses out for people and said, listen, for a small amount of money, you can be involved in horse racing. You can be an owner. You can come to the barn. You can feed the horse carrots. You can watch the horse train down and watch the horse race. And then on top of that, you know, just by accident one day, Curtis had a drone there. And the drone became a very integral part of the Stable.ca. But when you packaged all that up, and then unpacked it for an average person. A couple of $100 and $30-40 a month was a great deal to be involved in horse racing. That right there was the start of something that is going to change horse racing forever. I truly believe it. And you see it happening on a slower scale when you look at what took place in the Atlantic provinces at the sales this year in PEI, right? All those people buying all those horses for all that money. I'm from PEI, and I didn't know any of the people that were purchasing the horses because they were all groups, right? A lot of those bigger purchased tickets, a lot of those horses that were purchased for a lot of money. I know the most expensive horse was a group, right? And a number of the other horses that were bought also for a fair amount of money were groups. It wasn't one guy that was very affluent that had a lot of money. It was a number of everyday people that just decided they wanted to be a part of horse racing. That is what the stable represents, and that is where we're going to now. You see it if you look closely in New Zealand and Australia. I have people email me all the time and say, I'm a member of a syndicate over here, and I remember when you come over here and spoke about syndication and how fractional ownership, the way that it's done in your company, in your stable, is more about entertainment, is more about getting people out of their homes and out to the tracks or watching their horses train. That is fractional ownership, and it will change horse racing forever, for the good. When we started out, it was really just emailing, calling, driving to all these farms and all these different breeders and talking to them and saying, listen, if you don't sell your horse for what you want, send it to us, give us a chance to break it, train it down, bring new people into the industry. You'll be helping yourselves by getting fair market value for your horses, but you'll be helping the industry because we'll be bringing new people in. Not a lot of people bought into that. Some people did. And it paid off in a big way. Every single year we got better and better and better. We've taken a trip to the Hambletonian in the eliminations. We've been to the Breeders' Crowns. Now we've won the Matron, the biggest win of the Stable.ca's career. Yes, we were in regional finals in Ohio and Pennsylvania, New York, but we never won a major stake race before the Matron. And that was pretty clear. But from where we started that first year, pounding the pavement, bringing horses and people in, to where we are now, we proved it's attainable. And that is the stable. That's the stable for every trainer. Do you know how many trainers, if you're in this industry, if you're out there and you're a horseman, you're a trainer, you drive for these people, how many stables have you seen grown in size in the last 5 years? You drive for everyone. How many people you say, now, they had 30 2 years ago and they have 40 now or 50. And that's the thing. I run into all these trainers all the time that are short. They don't have the same horses they have. They don't have the same owners they had. The Stable.ca gives hope to every trainer because we've shown you, not only did we do it, we've shown you how to do it. We've shown everybody how to do it. It isn't magic. And that's why the stable is so important to the industry, because it shows the entirety of the industry that you can get to a better place. It shows all the trainers out there, this is the way to do it in any form you want to. The Stable.ca isn't the matron. It isn't going to be defined by tonight with 3-point blue chip. The Stable.ca is a way forward for everybody so that they can every year get a little bit better. And it isn't always about the horses. It's about the communication. It's about this. This is the Stable.ca. Talking to you, making sure that you feel involved, because you are. Telling you what your horses are doing, what they're up to. This is what the Stable.ca represents. It's not necessarily just the horses. And this is the sticking point. This is the last. We talk about hurdles as we train the horses down. This is the biggest hurdle for harness racing right here, is being able to communicate with your owners. If you're a trainer out there, and there are lots of you out there, are down on horses, trying to look for a better way forward, allow people to be a part of your life. Open up your stable. Allow people to see what you do on a daily basis, and you'll be very, very surprised with what you find. So, enough with the sermon about the stable. We're obviously really pumped tonight that 3-point blue chip, a horse that we bought, we developed, that we trained down, has an opportunity to do something very special. He's already done lots special for us. He's put us on the world stage and had people notice that, hey, and this is what every trainer on planet Earth wants. The ability to prove that they can train a horse at this level. They can develop a top horse. And we never had before. So in that regard, James was right, and other people were right. We hadn't developed them, but we didn't really have the stock to do it, right? A Lawmaker was a fluke and was a very, very good horse for us. White Tiger was a very good horse for us. But regional horses doing good on the regional scene, right? We've never really broken into the Grand Circuit before. And when you look at the barn we have right now, I can say right now with the utmost certainty, I'll be very depressed next year if we don't break into the Grand Circuit in a much bigger way. We now have, because every year we get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, we now have a barn that any human being on earth would love to be in charge of. You know, you look at the pedigrees. Last year, I think 3 Point Blue Chip and Will to Win Hammer were the top of the heap. As far as pedigrees, those were our crown jewels last year. Look at them this year. We have a minimum of, what, 10? You know, we talk about the Tactor horse. We have Macho Martini's brother, looked great today. Crantini, the big chestnut horse. Who else do we have? Una Madonna. We paid Alarm Detector's sister. These quality animals. They're not the only ones. Who else do we buy in Harrisburg? I'm drawing a blank. But at the same time, you guys know. I don't have to tell you. The horses that we've put in this barn, the horses that you've allowed us to, the horses that you've entrusted us to train down, develop, and turn into, hopefully, the next 3 Point Blue Chips or better. Hopefully in that barn right now. Anyway, 3 points in tonight. Hopefully we have some luck with him. Globetrotting, he schooled her yesterday now. She made a break off the gate, but she was hitting, was that your bike or our bike? So she was hitting James's bike. We bought a specific, what's called a trotting model bike. So as you can imagine, trotters trot a little bit wider. Our bike is a little higher and a little wider. Right? It's a trotting model bike, and it's been on 3 Point Blue Chip for quite a while. Jason bought a very similar bike made by Brodeur here. What are they called? The Nitrous? The Nitrous is made by Brodeur here. His is a little bigger also. It's coming home this week. So they went to school globetrotting off the gate. She made a break coming off the gate, but Jason said she was good after. So she doesn't need the hobbles? Well, she went in 52 and 4 without the ball.
She felt fine. She was trotting great. She was just...
She's a little funny because she's the same horse she always was, in the sense that she'll get you in trouble because she can trot a third quarter just about as fast as any horse on earth, but she'll give it up down the lane. And Ron Burke was on the right track. You know, he'd asked his owners after she got gunned a couple of times. You know, leave, sit, one move on the end of it will turn her into a good mare. I think he was 100% correct. We had talked about it quite a bit, and Old Sleepy here is probably the one exactly that will help her out. I've noticed since your trip to the States, though, I noticed I don't really watch the races at Mohawk that much, but I had been watching the last 3 weeks. I noticed she ended up on the front a lot more with a lot of your horses. What's going on there?
Favorite a lot better.
I'm glad to see you transition from being a big girl and putting your big boy pants on. It looks like you're pretty much a lock for the O'Brien, so that's good. It is worth noting, though, that I did win an O'Brien before you. Camfello Award is an O'Brien Award.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Well, it's actually bigger. You're right, James. You're 100% right. It's actually bigger than the O'Briens themselves because it's not given up. Well, I won Driver of the Year Georgian one year, if that makes you feel any better. I think we both got quite a ways to go to catch up to your older and uglier brother. I don't know if he's uglier than you. You're both pretty ugly.
You guys all look the same.
I look better, and thankfully they look something like me, is what you're trying to say. So, it's been, as I said, I continue to say this, but I shouldn't have to. And when I say, hey, it's been a great year at the stable, that isn't just patting ourselves on the back collectively. That's patting you on the back, because without you, there was no stable, would be, and is no Stable.ca. So the pats on the back belong to everybody out there watching this video. As I said, globetrotting was good the other day. Did you catch Jazzy Judy race the other day?
I heard she won.
She won by 12 lengths in 58 and looked great. She tied up again shockingly. Every time stake season comes along, about a month out of stake season, she just ties up. Just going to get it out of her system one time. So she was off 4 weeks. It was funny because I ran into Jim King at Harrisburg, and he said, hey, you guys didn't send any hobbles with Judy. And I said, well, Jim, that's because she hasn't been wearing any hobbles. And, you know, this is so cool to see, too, because globetrotting wore tight hobbles at 2. Jazzy Judy wore as tight a hobble as any horse has ever worn at 2. And to think that she could go from having to wear them that tight to none is a stretch. As a trainer, I don't think I could convince Jim King he thought I was joking to begin with, but I don't think I could convince him that she had raced without hobbles if I wasn't so serious when I said it. And he said, it's hard to believe she's come that far. And I said, yeah, but she hasn't been. He told me he trained her in the belly band hobbles and they were going to race her in the belly band hobbles. And then I watched the race and Tim Tetrick's blasting out of there to the front, no hobbles on her. So all they had was her knees taped up and a little set of trotting boots behind. And she looked very, very good. Now, you might say, well, 58, 30, and 3 on the end of it. She hadn't raced 4 weeks. And that mile that day was like 2:4:34 seconds on the end of it or something. So, I mean, the last time she raced a good mile, fast mile, would have been upwards of 6 weeks before her last start. So Jim had said, why don't we just give her a week off starting into the eliminations? And Tim Tetrick called. He called 2 times. First time, I know he wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to Dover to drive the filly. And I told him, no, I don't need to go to Dover to drive Jazzy Judy. Thanks. And can you check the traffic? Never checked because it was a Saturday. I said, I don't need to drive Jazzy Judy. I'm pretty sure you're well versed in driving stake horses. I don't need to go to Delaware. So he wanted to make sure that the drive was his, obviously, because he's doing his job. The final does go for 100. He doesn't want to have to go drive another horse that maybe can't beat her when he may be able to secure the drive on hers. As a driver, all he would have to say, especially a guy like Tim Tetrick or Doughhead in the back, would be, hey, I'll drive your horse in the series. Done. Any sort of commitment from the driver, and it would be reciprocated, especially when you're talking about any of those top flight drivers. What's that? You were looking for on the map, the traffic. So Tim Tetrick's going to drive Jazzy Judy. I'm super pumped about that. He did want to race her in an open bridle. She's all race. I don't know how good Jazzy Judy can be. I think she's a better mare than her jurisdiction would allow. What I mean by that is, you would think if you're in the industry, the Delaware breds they're a regional circuit, right? You're not going to see a Delaware bred bounce out to the Meadowlands or Mohawk and dominate. It doesn't very often happen. When's the last time you drove a political briefing in the open at Mohawk? It's been a while?
Don't bump
It's
it.
non-existent.
So Jazzy Judy, I think she's better than just Delaware, is what I'm trying to say. We didn't sell her in Harrisburg because of that bad line.
It says the 407 to save 1 minute.
Just save 1 minute? Go to Waze. Is that Waze?
That's Waze.
Oh, well, it knows. So Jazzy Judy's going to race in the elimination next Saturday, the 29th. I'm super pumped about that. I've trained her in an open bridle before, and I'm sure Jimmy will train her in an open. And I said to Timmy and Jimmy, very, very simply, you train her, you drive her. You don't have to ask me what bridle or harness to put on Jazzy Judy. You go ahead and do whatever you want. This time of year is a little bit difficult for us because we've sold a number of our sophomores. And how do we replace those? Because those are horses that go to the gate every week and we watch them race. So we have been trying to acquire horses. We bought Locatelli to start with. And obviously High Gear No Fear hasn't turned out just yet. But at the same token, it simply could have been him short and slipping last night. It could have been a number of things. I believe the horse that I drove last night, 1, mechanically was good. But 2, just felt present. He didn't feel like he had any pop to him. Even out of the gate, I didn't want him to make a break. He was coming off of a break. So I just let him float out, coast over to the front. But he never really had any fire to him. When they came to him in the last turn, there was never, at any point, did he ever jump forward, even for a step. So I think maybe he was just a little tired, a little short, and a little lethargic. I'm sure the horse will come around just fine, but that's the way it is sometimes. So first things first, we got a flat line on him. Secondly, Doughhead can drive him next week. And we'll take the flip-flops off or the razor pads off him, I think. Has the track always been deep like that at Mohawk this summer?
Yeah. I don't know. It's been pretty good.
It's a little bit deep right now. Well, I mean, I'm used to racing at Northfield all summer where it's hard as rock. Most nights it's really stiff. And it just seems like they got a good cushion on it, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of horses come forward with flip-flops and razor pads on at Mohawk right now.
But I mean, it's winter's coming too.
That's correct. So I told everybody, we'll race him. He didn't come with razor pads on, so we'll race him without the razor pads next week. I suspect a week of tightness, work on his blood a little bit more, a week of tightness, get those razor pads off him, and I think he'll probably try 55, 56 next week. Listen, we trained him at Northfield in 57 before he left Northfield, so there shouldn't really be a problem with... and he trotted him 54 when we first raced him at the Meadows. The horse will be just fine. As I said, last night was more about I was a little surprised. I put him in a position to win because I thought he was the best horse in the race. If he was real good, he was a little flat, and I'm sure he'll bounce back next week. Now, as I said, Locatelli, Harry had him scoped a little mucus in there. We're drawing his blood to make sure he's 100% when he races on Monday. You schooled him last week. How did he school?
Schooled good.
Yeah.
Strong good.
Seemed all right.
Yep.
I had said, everybody thinks because we buy this trotter for $93,000 that he's going to win the Elite Lop or something next year, and that isn't what he was bought for. He fits in numbers of 5 up to 10, so there's lots of room for this horse to race. And quite frankly, when you look at the results of Harrisburg, the horses that were racing against Locatelli sold for 140, 120, and 102. The ones that I was interested in anyway, that fit the same type of classes, they sold for, as I said, 140, 120, and 102, I believe. So it's not like we paid top dollar, although it's hard to say you found value in a $100,000 horse. $93,000 for Locatelli, I believe, was a fair price. So we'll see him begin to race on Monday. We bought a pacer that's also in on Monday. He's back now at the training center. I didn't ask Jason how he jogged today, but I'm sure he jogged fine. His name is Airstrike. You're driving him. Now the 411 on him was, I talked to 2 of the drivers, said, bit lazy and he doesn't like to pass. Well, sometimes when you're racing, and they also said that I talked to Herman this morning, he said he wore a 60-inch hobble. So you do the math. 60-inch hobble on a half-mile track, 4 turns. It doesn't take a lot for a horse just to stall just enough that he won't go forward. The last time he raced on a big track was in Lexington. July 27th, he went in 150 flat in Lexington. Now, Lexington is a fast piece of dirt, but Mohawk's not a slow one either. So I think that Airstrike, the horse is sound. One little hiccup was a splint that he had. The veterinarian had crowed it when we first bought him. So I suspect the horse is coming in pretty good for Monday also. Then the day after that, I purchased a trotting mare, just a middle of the road horse. We can't just go out and purchase Locatellis all day. I would love to, but I'm certain at some point all of us will run out of money. So what I did was I looked for a horse that would fit in the middle of the pack. So we purchased a trotting mare named Swan's Honey, middle of the road horse. I talked to the last 2 people that drove her, and both said, nice mare, just kind of there, present. And I said, well, for what we paid for, we can easily just race her in the 15,000 claimer if we want. I can't imagine. I looked at the 15 claimer when it filled 2 weeks ago, and it's not a very good bunch of horses for the most part. I mean, if they're good 15s or 20s, they end up being sold for 15 or 20 US and end up in Yonkers or Poconos or somewhere. It's a bit of a watered down bunch when they fill them here in the 15s. No, they have been lately. Huh? Do you drive anything in there? I didn't really.
Pacer.
Trot.
I don't think the straight 15's been filling.
Yeah, it's watered down because a lot of people, they ended up combining it like 15 to 20 a couple of times because they couldn't fill it. But when it did fill, there wasn't a whole lot of good-looking horses in there, to be honest. Not that she's a killer, but definitely looked like she was worth the $13,000 that we paid for her. So Swan's Honey, I was talking to the owner and trainer earlier. The problem is you just can't throw a horse in a trailer and come across the border. We do it because we have papers ready and they draw what's called federal health papers to get the horses across the border. International shipping papers. And so the way you have to do it, you have to draw blood and get what's called a negative Coggins test. Then when you get that negative Coggins, you can take that and then from that get health papers drawn off those Coggins. Well, this horse didn't have Coggins that were up to date. They were 9 months old. They have to be within 6 months to draw health papers on, so they have to draw new ones. We probably won't get the Coggins back until Tuesday at the earliest. We won't be able to draw health papers until Wednesday at the earliest. So the earliest we can ship Swan's Honey home to us is probably Wednesday evening. So I've been in contact with Doyle Transport, and they are going to pick the mare up next week.
From where?
From Gateway Farms is where she's at.
Is anything coming back from Northfield?
I'm coming back from Northfield on Tuesday. I'm going to bring 2 babies home and So and Sue home also. You'll like driving her. She's a real sweetheart, James.
She's not going to race that pole.
Yes, she is. Why wouldn't you? You don't think she's fast enough? She's one of those like Richard Moreau used to have, like crazy in the post grade. You got to walk her, put her right up on the gate.
Good stick man,
But she's not ignorant like him. But if she happens to make a break, just like him, she can run away with you. So the other day she qualified. Wilbur Yoder did a great job getting her qualified. He raced her the other day. She went right up the gate, put her nose on the gate. She went to trot out, and if you see her backing off the gate, she's more apt to touch herself and make a break. I think if Wilbur had just let her, like, forced her out of there a little bit. I think he was just being safe. She was coming off a qualifier. So he just let her fall off the gate, and she rolled into a break, and then it was game on. I guess she made a break on him, run away with him, and he pulled her up, and now she has to qualify. Now, they put her in to go Monday. Wilbur had another horse in there. They have another gentleman going with her. I'm very concerned she's not going to qualify, but if she doesn't, she can come back here and qualify on Friday. She has turned into be a painful project, but at the same time, she has enough speed to do. She's a better mare than Rosa and Why Not. Like, she'll trot 56, 57 here. She trotted 56 in Dayton the last time I drove her in Dayton. And she's an okay filly, but a lot of it stems from her mouth. She's really sore mouth. Had one of those ones with a big cut in her mouth, and obviously if you pull and pull and pull on her, she's going to lose her mind, and that's where she turns a little crazy. So she's coming back also. Why'd you ask me that, honey? What do you need taking home Tuesday? Wormers, yes. I'd be happy to take those home. So our 2 new acquisitions this week. Airstrike, James is driving on Monday in that pop-up series. What's his odds, James Neal?
Not sure.
I thought he fit in there pretty good. And then Swan's Honey, I guess if we get her home in time and the gentleman still jogs her in New Jersey, I'll ask him to. Maybe we'll get a schooler into her on Friday and race her the following week. So that's the plan with those 2. Obviously, we have our babies going now. A lot of people saying, hey, Anthony, when's your next drone day? When's your next drone day? We'll probably have one within the next 10 days. We will have another drone day before our open house. I believe Kelly has locked that in for...
The 10th.
The 10th? Is that what it is? That's Saturday, right? I thought it was the 11th. Why don't you look on your calendar? Right now, look on your calendar.
Doesn't I don't have it.
Yes, you have a calendar. You
Yeah, but
have
I
a
don't
phone.
have-
In 2021, it has a calendar on it.
I don't have the open house in
You don't have to. I just need the date for the Saturday before.
it. Oh, sorry. So it's the 11th.
The 11th, yes. So December the 11th is the open house.
So it's not on Friday now?
No, it's on Saturday now. I don't want it on Friday. So it's on Saturday now. I know Kelly has tried to make it a virtual one. So if you are contemplating coming, feel free. You don't have to come if you don't want to. Obviously, in past years, we've tried to get as many people as we can. You see the problem with that, right? We're still in COVID. And although a lot of stuff in Ontario is opening up, there are still restrictions. So I guess, to be fair, if you're not vaccinated, it's going to be hard to come out to the open house. 2, if you'd rather not come to the open house, feel free to stay home. There is no problem with that. We are going to have a top-notch broadcast for everybody. And for the people that do come out, we can't have crowds everywhere. So lots of people at the fence in their cars. You want to wander around the barns as long as they're not crowded. It shouldn't be a problem. Kelly, heading into the open house, will have much more stricter. We'll have stricter guidelines for everybody, which are important. It's important for everyone. You guys know this. So the open house will be scheduled for the 11th. We'll definitely have a drone session before then. Any horses you went with since you've been back at all? I think you went with a couple, didn't you?
Yeah, can't remember.
Your colt looks good. We bought James a colt down there, my MVP colt. He looked good. Felix said he's really bad to shoe, by the way.
Yeah,
Really
that's
nasty.
nice.
Yeah. And we'll have everybody ready to go by then. I'm really happy with what I've seen. A lot of people saying, when are the Ohio babies coming back? Guys, they're coming back ASAP. We've already brought 3 more back. 4 babies remain in Ohio. I will be taking 2 home with me Tuesday. So I told Tim I would go over and race. I'm a lovely lady. She's sputtering a bit. We took the hobbles back off her. This will be her first start without hobbles on since early in her 2-year-old life. 2-year-old season. So she'll be racing without hobbles Tuesday at the Meadows. I think I have Walk on the Moon in also, and one other horse. Oh, Mama Knows Best is in also, fresh off her non-sale at Harrisburg. And I will take So and Sue from the Meadows back to Northfield Park, load up the 2 babies, and head home. So I'll be leaving here Tuesday morning. Why is Nick Ritchie calling me?
Well, he's calling me, but my phone for some reason was connected to.
So you're going to have to disconnect it.
Yeah.
Or I'll just hang up on him, which I did. So,
I think the orchestra is playing on this video.
what's that?
I think the orchestra is playing on this video.
What orchestra are we talking?
The thing that they play, and we have to stop talking.
Amy saying I'm talking too long. That's what our clients like. All right? They need to see, look at James. You see all his gray hair? You want to zoom in on his gray hair a minute ago. It's funny. Look, it's an embarrassment, really. So that is it for for your opening video. We talked about a lot of things. As I said, we will be coming home. So and Sue will be coming home this week. 2 more babies coming home. That will only leave 2 more left, and they'll also be coming home next week. Now, those horses aren't just sitting around. They are jogging right now. They are working, and they'll begin training. I was very, very happy with everybody this week. It's telling me to stay in the collector, is it?
No, it's
Yeah, it's the collector lanes. Just trying to help you out. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. We got the horse in tonight. A lot of horses racing over the weekend. A lot of horses we want to get moving. We want to see how Locatelli does. We want to get High Gear, No Fear back on track. Get our new horses racing. And we'll probably look to acquire some other ones. We do have the claiming series coming up at Northfield Park this week. We may claim a horse out of there. We have claiming series coming up at Mohawk. We'll most definitely claim one out of there. So we'll be active. Lots of work to do in the fall and winter here in Ontario and in Ohio. We will have our 2-year-olds coming back in over the next 2 weeks, mostly all of them. The only ones that will take a little longer are the ones we're later on stopping with, right? Some of the later horses in Ohio, Slim Jimmy, Sweet on Pete, Purple Aura, those horses will get another 2 weeks off. But for the most part, the bulk of the Stable.ca will be back at the Burns, jogging and training in full strength starting December 1st. So, we'll be back after a while. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance, but we're going to talk about the 2-year-olds, the yearlings, the 3-year-olds, the racehorses, all the Burns. Back in just a minute.